Okay, guys, I'm going to share with you some Pluto stuff and go forward to when Pluto moves into Aquarius, which will be in 2023. And it's quite interesting to watch how a chart moves. This is solar fire. So what we have currently, if you can see the current chart, it's just coming up to midnight here in London. It's the 17th of April. And we have the moon here is just moved into Pisces, and the moon stays in a sign for roughly 2.5 days and takes 28 days to move around the chart. And then we have currently Pluto, 24 degrees of Capricorn, and Jupiter, 26 degrees of Capricorn. And what we have going on here is that this symbolism, whilst we have Saturn that's just moved into Aquarius, we're going to have a lot of retrogrades coming up. So all of these planets are going to go retrograde. And the symbolism on the 12th of January 2020, we had Pluto conjunct Saturn, and then Jupiter was involved, and also Mars hit all of those planets. So what we currently seen with the breakdown of structure in society was seen in this symbolism. In 1518, the last time that Pluto and Saturn were conjunct in the sign of Capricorn was in 1518, and that was to do with the Reformation. You can check it out on Google. Reformation, it was to do with the breakdown of the church, and it was to do with a lot of issues going on in Europe and whatever. So again, history can sort of show us, or it shows up in charts, and we look at, as astrologers, we look at symbolism and we can understand what's going on. An example would be when 9/11 occurred, which is a touchy subject for most people, but you know, the way astrology is understood is by looking at cycles and then looking at what was happening. So in 9/11, we had Saturn was in opposition with Pluto at the time, and it can show us, you know, what the sort of feelings space of humanity were. So this chart that I'm showing you is the collective chart at the moment. And then what we would have is that we would have our own natal chart, which shows us something else. And I will show you that as well. I think I'm able to do that, which will give you a bit of a open your eyes to something else there too. I might not do it in this video. I'll decide in a little while. So if we look at Pluto here, what I'm going to do is take the, you can see, if you can see my mouse here, what I'm doing, I'm going to basically go to weeks ahead to begin with, and you can watch these planets change up here. This is Aries here, it's at 0 degrees, and Pisces is the 12th house. So we go around the chart. So this is very much just for learning purposes, but also whatever I say might be useful to you as well. So we're going to go weeks ahead. We're going to go 1 week, which is the 24th of April, 2, 3, 4. So what we can see is that the ascendant on that day will be Capricorn, and the ascendant changes every couple of hours. So this is why time of birth is really important in astrology, and also the moon moves quickly. If you can see here, it's 10 degrees Pisces. So if we go ahead by 1 week, we've got the moon is then right down in Gemini. You can see at 4 degrees. So it's jumped all that way. So that moves very quick. The sun moves, it's basically a degree a day, 360, you know, roughly, because it's a year. So let's go now. This is the 22nd of May that I've just shown you. And what we're going to do is go by months, and we're going to jump ahead to see what happens here. So we've still got this symbolism, but you can see now that if you look below these planets, you've got RRR, this is retrograde. So what's going to happen is that whilst Saturn has been in, you know, was conjunct in Capricorn with Pluto, and so was Jupiter, all of these planets began to go forward, but now you'll see them begin to go backwards. So watch, I'm going a month ahead. We've got the 22nd of May there, and then we've got the 22nd of June. So you can see here that Jupiter and Pluto are now both 24 degrees Capricorn. Let's jump another month ahead. You can see that Saturn has now gone to 28 degrees retrograde back into Capricorn. We're concentrating on those planets at the moment. And then again, we've got, going back further, it's gone back 26 and then 25, and you can see what begins to happen. So, you know, on the 22nd of October, we've got here, you know, they're conjunct basically 19, 22. The moon will be there at 22 degrees as well. And we've got squares going on to Mars at that time. So, you know, wherever humanity is now, we sort of get an idea of what's going on. We've got Chiron in Aries at 6 there, that's in October. And we've got Mars squaring these planets. Mars takes 2 years to move around a chart. And it's, you know, basically it's our desires, and it's going to be in Aries still. So we can really define when we begin to look at aspects in chart. These are aspects. I mean, at that time also, we've got these planets up here, which are Pluto, the moon, and Saturn. They're going to be in trine to Venus. But again, Venus does move quite quickly. We've got like 224 days to move around the chart. So it's the outer planets that have the bigger play on us. We can see here that we have Uranus in Taurus, and this is to do with, you know, basically breaking free of limitations, which is to do with our structure, to do with money and our needs, rather, to do with money and our needs and our resources. Taurus is our resources and our inner needs, and Uranus is breaking free of limitations, but it's also trauma. There's a lot more to astrology, but that's an idea. I'm going to go back a bit here because you can see that the node is at 22 degrees. I want to show you something, so I'm going to go back to, we're going to go back to now, which is, I've got the 22nd of April there. It's a few days away, to give you an idea. What we'll have is that the node is going to be, you know, as of now, just a few days ahead, it's 2 degrees of Cancer. And the nodes, they move around the chart clockwise. So what you have is that that node is going to be moving into Gemini, which is going to change a lot for us. We've been basically all sent home with this node in Cancer, you know, and these nodes basically are our life path where we're moving to. And the south node would be at the moment 2 degrees of Capricorn, and that will also be going into Sagittarius. So we're in for some huge changes because of these nodes. They take a year and a half through a sign. And in Sagittarius, it's going to be the past. It's going to be about the past, religion, about releasing that, you know, maybe going to more to spirituality. It's going to mean that, you know, the idea of the church, and we can see right now that people can't attend church, you know, people are unable to do that. I'm not religious myself. I do know God as source in my own being, and I see it in beauty such as the flowers, and I see it in the moon and the planets and just being on earth, and also in people as well. So I don't see God as being separate outside of myself, and I don't believe that there's a punishing God. I think that we're all in no separation, so to speak, and that's what we're learning with this structure as well, that's currently going on here with them. You know, when we've got Jupiter up there with Pluto, this is about belief systems, and also it rules Sagittarius, so it's quite deep, very deep. Astrology is beautiful tool. So then we can go to this node. I'm just going to jump, I'm going to change this now, and I'm going to put it weeks ahead, so instead of months. And I'm going to go, in fact that's days, we're going to go week. So let's go 1 week ahead. The node will then be at 1 degree Cancer, and then by the 6th of May, it's literally gonna just about to move out there. So watch this. We've got 0 degrees. So it's going to be 0 degrees, and then that's the 20th of May. Then it will move into the sign of Gemini. And Gemini, when it's there, it's about communications. It's about short trips and short journeys and siblings. So the way I see the sibling thing is that we're all sort of related in a way, and we're all looking after each other. So then there's the children in the world as well. So there's a lot, there can be a lot said about that too. With the south node, which you can't see, it will be in Sagittarius, it will restrict, you know, flights and things. So we'll be doing a lot more short journeys and a lot more local stuff. If we jump a week ahead and we go again a week ahead, you can see that that's going to move right in there to 29 degrees in the 10th of June. So let's go forward again. So I hope this is interesting to you. This is called solar fire, and I'm going to explain Pluto to you. So if we go to the 10th of June, and we'll go a month now, and then we're going to skip it all the way to when it moves into Aquarius. I'll let you see how that works. And I'll ask you to keep your eye on Pluto when I do that. But Pluto moves very slowly. It's 24 degrees there. You see up there. So if we go a month ahead, June, August, September, October, November, December, we can see that we've got, you know, the square there to Mars, and we've got other planets, you know, doing their own thing, but I won't go into too much detail. Then we go January 2021, and we've got the squares to Uranus here, and we've also got squares to Mars. And then we'll go February, a lot of squares going on there. Look at that up there. That's quite interesting. All of that in Aquarius, that's going to be quite amazing. We'd have the Sun at 6, conjunct Venus, conjunct Jupiter, conjunct the Moon, and we're conjunct, this is will be a conjunction 17 to these planets, but the Sun will be in Aquarius as well. So that will be an interesting chart to look at, I think. So what we would do is, you know, look at our own chart as well, and to see, impose that upon our charts, so we can figure out where this is happening for us and what house it's happening for us. So as an example, my first house is Scorpio. So if that's Scorpio, my first house, then I would have 1, 2, 3. It's going to be happening in my third house, actually, because my second and third house is Aquarius. So partly in Aquarius, it will be the third house for me, because I have intersected houses, which I won't explain right now unless you know what they are, of course. So if we go to February 21, let's go up to March 21, and then we go April 21, and let's go May 21. So we can see all of these planets then come off being conjunct. All of the outer planets begin to have some space between them, okay? And what I'm going to do now is tell you a little about Pluto. So I'm going to take this to when it moves, as I said, into Aquarius. So let's go now. We're going to go a year ahead. So watch the 26th there. Hopefully you can see the marker up there, the 26th Capricorn, and that's Pluto. And then we're going to jump a year ahead to 10th of May 2022, and that's 28 degrees. It moves very slowly because it takes 240 years to move around the chart. And then we're going to go ahead again to 2023. And what we have is that we've got on the 10th of May 2023, Pluto will be in Aquarius there. But the first day it will happen will be before that, because it's going retrograde there, so it's already gone in at that point. So let's try and go back a bit and see what happens there. So solar fire is a really beautiful tool. So if we go backwards, we're going, you can see this changing here, the little number there. And then it's in 29 degrees, 59 of Capricorn. So that's the 22nd of March. So let's go a day ahead and see what happens. One day. There you go. So it says here, it says the 23rd of March. The event is that will be 00 degrees. Okay. This is using tropical, and it's not, normally I use Porphyry, but I figure out if that will be the same on a different chart, sort of house system. So that's good. So let's take Pluto up here. We're not going to look at it in Aquarius so much because that's going to be a whole different world out of Capricorn. But I'm going to tell you something about Pluto in Evolutionary Astrology, which I study. And I will say at the moment what I'm doing is that I'm normally $70 an hour for a chart, but because of the, you know, lockdown, social distancing, I'm doing $20 an hour until the end of May, and we see how it goes from there.